Well, it doesn't take a team of scientists to conclude that people don't like eating food that has been sneezed on. Actually, it does take a team of scientists at the National Institutes of Health. The NIH spent $2 million of your money on a study to find that children don't like food covered with sneezes. And it gets nuttier from there. Here now, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford, who has assembled this year's definitive study of government waste. Senator, it's great to see you. I actually read your whole book. And we could spend the whole show, in fact, a whole week of shows on it. It spun me up so completely. But the thing that I was left with, the residue from reading it, was how cynical I felt at the end. I like NIH. I think they do life-saving research. And now they're wasting millions of dollars on sneeze research on food?
On food. And that's the painful part about all this, is that I look at it and I say, this is grants that need oversight, and regulators that need oversight, and agencies that need oversight. And just leaning over the edge and asking the question, before you do that grant, answer this question. Is it better to do cancer research, or is it better to do research to determine if 5-year-olds will still eat food if you sneeze on it?
And by the way, that's exactly right. It actually erodes people's support for research spending when they find that their money is being wasted. Here, but I also learned a lot from this book, which I would recommend to everybody with a strong stomach. The government is spending an awful lot of money to lecture us about things. We're spending $500 grand a year to text people in rural areas on their phones not to chew tobacco. We're spending more than $1 million to text moms to urge them not to let their daughters go to tanning salons. When did it become the government's business to hector me about how I live my life?
Well, this is the next step beyond just a warning label on something to say, you didn't read the warning label, so let me actually get it to your phone and multiple times and try to figure out when I think you're going to chew tobacco and try to send you a message right then as well. Or to be able to tell moms, here's a better way to be able to mom. But that is the new role of a lot of these agencies. They're trying to dream up, how can I actually engage on the next level? They're still doing it. I told them not to. Now I want to find some way to be able to nag them.
If a telemarketer is doing that, you could file a complaint and have them stop. But it's the government. But how intrusive is that? How Orwellian is it? What a violation of my private space. By the way, if I live in a rural area where nobody has jobs, and there are a lot of problems in rural America, they're bugging me about dipping Copenhagen? Really?
Well, we had the same thing last year when they were actually tracking truck drivers and trying to text them messages about eating better and healthier foods as well. It's the same kind of issue, same kind of problem that's over and over again. I'm asking the simple question, is there better use of federal dollars? We've got national defense, we have infrastructure, we have all these things that need to be done. This is how some of the money is being spent.
Okay, this was my favorite. This is from the National Science Foundation. And this is, I almost didn't believe this, but I trust you because you're an actual senator. $412,000 spent on the following study. Glaciers, Gender, and Science, a feminist glaciology framework for global environmental change research. And this is the description of it. Quote, the feminist glaciology framework generates robust analysis of gender, power, and epistemologies in dynamic social ecological systems, thereby leading, this is real, to a more just and equitable science and human-ice interactions. I'll give you $1,000 if you can tell me what that means.
Yeah, human-ice interactions, and you need to look at it from a feminist point of view. We actually had to read the paper to be able to go through it. Not only is it factual, the paper has been published, and our American tax dollars paid for it. That's the painful part about all this. We've got to be able to have a better set of parameters on grants. And last year when I published this book, I had some of the leaders of the agencies that came to me and wanted to explain why some of these grants happened. But when I actually pointed out, tell me why this one happened, they couldn't do it. Basically, they have so many people that are signing off on the grants, and there aren't boundaries around those individuals. These grants just get signed off on because someone knows the person that's in that university or someone knows that situation, and they sign off because it's not their money.
But so many of them are so ideological. It's not just that they're wasteful. They're pushing a worldview and an ideological agenda on a helpless population that has no recourse. Doesn't anybody say, you know, you're not allowed to push your stupid political theories on citizens?
And that should be the most basic of all frameworks. We have about $600 billion a year that's just done on grants. $600 billion of federal tax dollars. Every agency has a different standard for how they choose grants, what they do to oversee them, if they do any follow-up on them, and if there's any approval process. I'm asking the simple question, if we're going to do grants as a federal government for science and for research and such, which we should, we should first answer the question, is anyone else going to do this? Do we really need this research for our national security or for economic well-being? And then what is the long-term purpose of this? If we can't accomplish that, no one should ever sign
Made me
up.
want to dip snuff and go to a tanning salon. Thank you so much, Senator. It's great to see you.
I'll sneeze on your food before you eat it.
I hope you will.